सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.
Barenknuckle Bhakti presents The Gift of Desperation, a Bhakti Recovery podcast. This is a 12-step based Bhakti-oriented space. Here we share our experience, strength, and hope in the spirit of recovery from addictions and associated behaviors. Welcome. Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. And I am sitting here in the continuation at an interview with Radhikesh. Wow. Hello. Hi, Radhikesh. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of your listeners out there. I am very grateful and thankful to be with all of you today.
Well, I wanted to first just thank you that you're willing to tell your story, because your story, as I mentioned on last week's podcast, is a story of incredible, like I'm completely enamored and in awe of how you just kept moving forward. So let's just jump right into this. So again, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm hoping that your story will inspire. I'm not hoping, I know it will inspire other people. So all right. So introduce yourself. For those who haven't listened to the podcast before, Radhikesh is sorry, I'm just going to grab this right now. Radhikesh is an astrologer. He's a physician. He's also a coach. We didn't mention that last time, but he's also a coach, and an incredible devotee. And he's got an incredible story to tell. Last week we did all the stuff about astrology, or just a little bit about astrology. And now we're on to his personal story. So Radhikesh, have I missed anything in that introduction?
You have not. You have gotten everything in that introduction. I don't know about being an incredible devotee, but I simply do my best to serve the devotees and my guru as well as I can. And I will just leave it at that. The blessings of devotees are very, like yourself, are very wonderful in encouraging all of us. So thank you. So where do I start with this story? You know, it's a story that is a story that a lot of us go through, the sufferings of the material world, the difficulties that this world brings, which can take us from the top to the bottom and maybe to the top again and to the bottom again, you know, and that the foundation of no matter what happens, if our foundation is bound in something a little more permanent, a little more secure, a little more eternal, we can get through the ups and downs of life in a relatively, I won't even say in an unscathed fashion. That's one way of getting through things. You can do that even materially, but in a way that can be transformative. And even when we talk about transformations, there can be transformations that take place just at a material level. Look, I lost everything, then I got everything back. So that's a transformation, and that can be inspiring. But there's a deeper transformation that takes place in our life, and usually when we go through certain challenges, and that can be a transformation of the spirit, a deeper understanding of our relationship with Krishna, our deeper understanding of our relationship with God, and a realization of how those things come to pass in our life. So there's so many different levels of transformation and change that can take place, but I certainly want to keep the focus on the most eternal and long-lasting and most meaningful one that can take place. Not that the others don't have their place, but this is the most meaningful. So where do we start in all of this?
Well,
I'll keep it. Yes, please.
Well, let me just ask. So where were you born and raised, and how did you get into Krishna consciousness?
Okay.
We wouldn't have to be long about it, just curiosity.
born and raised in England. I was 11 years old and I moved to the US. Um, I've been a devotee, my 1973, around that time when the manor opened, my parents started going there. So I've been a devotee pretty much my entire life. So it's something that's always been a significant part of who I am. And then after our children, got old enough, we moved to Alachua to be at the school and everything else, and we've been here since that time.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so the story, this is the story, the transformative story. I mean, I'm sure it starts and we can go on to all kinds of things, but you find yourself successful. You find yourself having a successful career as being a doctor. You have your own practice, right? Did you have your own practice?
Yes, I did.
Yes, and or practice in English, it's practice, right? Yes,
it's practice, but I had
yes,
more than one. Yeah, it was.
Yes. Okay, I don't know if you had clinics or whatever, however that was. So you're successful. You're a devotee. You have your family. You're in Alachua. Everything's running. What happened?
So everything is running. You feel like you're on top of the world. Like, okay, everything is smooth. It's good. What can go wrong? This type of thing. And so a couple of different things happened. First thing that happened is that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I went for a life insurance physical. And then my agent calls me and he says, there's something wrong. And I'm someone who works out every day, watches my diet, all those things. I was like, there's no way, that's not possible. And what happened is that some really weird disease that even I didn't know what this was. I got diagnosed after that test, no symptoms, with this disease that one in like 100,000 people get. Incredibly rare medical disease. And then I read about it and I was like, oh my God, this is like really bad. This is going to be like
My gosh.
devastating. This can be deadly. You can end up on very toxic medications, and all of this stuff. And I hadn't taken an antibiotic in probably 40 years up to that point, forget taking anything stronger. So very, very intense out of nowhere. I thought I'm going to die from this thing.
So is the disease a viral disease or is it a bacterial disease?
It's some type of
autoimmune
type thing. Okay. Very rare autoimmune thing that affects the kidneys and all this.
Oh,
weird
geez. Okay.
Stuff. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. And, and the doctor's like, well, this is very rare. I don't know what's going to happen, which way it's going to go, any of that. So that doesn't help, of course. So first of all, boom, your life is going perfect. And what do you get hit with? The problems of the body, which is, the scriptures talk about the problems of the body, the problems related to nature, the problems related to other people, the problems of the mind, all these different things that can affect us. So
I love how you just bring that into Krishna consciousness. No matter what, you just bring it all right in there into scripture, I love it. So thank you for that.
It's all there. This is what we have to take shelter and guidance from whenever we go through difficulty, whether that's, through the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam or the Bible or the Quran or whatever our scriptures are, the shelter and guidance is there for us. We just have to look for it. So, so what did I do? I've been an astrologer, so I decided I'm going to go see my astrologer. And he said, he looked at the chart, he's like, don't worry about it. This is absolutely nothing. Within 5 years, this is going to be gone. And as a doctor, I'm thinking, not possible. This is not possible.
Yes.
Okay. This is like a really deadly, heavy thing. Not possible. Didn't do any major treatment. Just got some blood tests done. 3 years later, 4 years later, it's gone. It's just gone.
Wow.
Nothing I did differently. It just came and it went. And the doctor's like, you're good. Nothing, and so it just went. So that obviously deepened my interest in astrology even more than it ever had been before. So that was one thing. So then 2 years later, with my medical practice, this huge legal drama comes down on my medical practice, and I won't go into the details of it because it's just, problem
Yeah,
will
no
come
need.
when
Yeah,
they're
no
meant
need.
to. So in the end, what happened? Um, what happens is that I had to hire a lawyer. Then he wasn't very good. Hired a second one, and the lawyers sucked away all my money. Um, Lost my medical practice. Lost my ability to practice medicine in the U.S. And so one thing after another, everything I'd ever built up, and
Was
I
taken
built
away.
everything with my own two hands, literally from the beginning. I built it
Mhm.
up. So this has been my entire identity. If you're a doctor, your identity is very much wrapped up in your profession, as it
Yes.
is for a lot of people. So my entire identity as a doctor, my ability to take care of my family, my kind of persona and mental energy, where that's all kind of focused, that's all taken away, and it gets better after that. So all of these things in my life are just slowly being chipped away and chipped away and chipped away. And this happens to so many of us, whether we're having an addiction problem or we have a health problem or a mental problem, whatever it is, slowly we see all these different things in our life being taken away, taken away, taken away. And that can be incredibly painful because we
Yeah,
have attachments, we have expectations of where our life is going to go. We
sure.
never think that we're going to end up like this or like that. Everything's going to be smooth. That's what we expect. Or that if it's not smooth, at least I have some control over what's going to happen in the trajectory of my life. We have some control, but not as much as we think. So all of these different things just continue to happen. Financially, my money all went to the lawyers. Uh, my family and I are just traumatized by all of this heavy stuff coming down from the
Mm,
government, which we never expected and um, certainly didn't, was not something you can prepare for mentally
no.
in any way. And then on top of everything else, this wonderful thing happens is that I got sent to federal prison in the United States. If
Whoa.
you know, unshocking beyond imagination at that point. So,
So there was just
and I,
no preparation for this at all. It just sort of like when you were standing there and that and the charges were read and all of that stuff and you just stood there and all of a sudden you got sentenced and you were just jaw dropping, right? Were you super surprised or did you have a fear that this would happen?
this came on over a period of about 5 years. So,
Oh,
but because you're dealing with the federal government, everything takes time. But this was completely unexpected. But what it told me at every step, it's not like I said, okay, Krishna, whatever you want, I'm good with it. No, you have to fight, for justice. So at
sure.
every step, I fought as well as I could. But no matter what was happening, every time I had to go to court, I saw Krishna's presence everywhere. I
Oh,
fought the battle, but I said, you know what, Krishna, you have a role in this. You have a purpose in this. You have a reason why things are going in a certain direction. I will do my best, but I'm going to trust you in no matter what the result is and continue to serve you the best way that I can in this situation. And a little bit later, if we have time, I kept a journal once I got to, you know,
mm,
the the federal prison system, and I'll read some of that just to kind of give an understanding of how we deal
mm,
with these things. But at every step, yes, it was very frustrating. Yes, it was incredibly stressful. Yes, it was painful. But at every step, if we remember the presence of Krishna in our life, we can get through these things, you know, I won't say unscathed, but certainly less scathed than you would be otherwise. And you can move on and be stronger in your life because of it. So, whatever the problems we're going through, like I said, if it's an addiction problem, we have a serious health problem, problems with our children, uh, problems with our marriage, and sometimes, especially with addiction is involved, all of these things are affected. Our financial situation, legal problems, problems with our family, problems with our job, problems with the people who we care about the most. All of these things can come together. So then what do we do? What do we do in a situation like this? Number one, I think it's so important, as we talk about in the 12 steps, to have a sponsor, someone who helps you, who's been there. So in the Vedic scriptures, we talk about gurus, people who are your teachers, your guides, who can help you. So having people around you to help you through that process, to help you understand, especially when the mind becomes so bewildered, to help you understand Krishna's presence in your life and help you more objectively understand, wait, don't, take a bigger view of this. Don't look at just what's happening to you. Take a bigger view of your astrological karma, this life, your past lives, and understanding Krishna's presence and purpose in these activities that are happening to you. Because we don't always control, or actually ever control, the karmas that come into our life.
Was
Nobody
this written in your?
chooses.
Could you see this in your chart? Is this something that you could see in your chart this whole time?
You see something was coming down the road. It all started when I went into my Ketu period. And Ketu is a period of incredible restriction and limitation, especially in the first house. Then when I went to prison, that was during Ketu Rahu, which is the heaviest of those times. So yes, you can see it. So we knew something was coming down the road, but you don't ever read your own astrological chart. I went to my own astrologer, and he's like, well, something's coming. Let's see how, what it's like. But he did not expect that it would be so intense.
Like this.
But but it came, So the first thing is, when you do go through these difficulties, what do you do, right? We don't, karmically, you can see something is happening there. This is some
well, what
past
did
life
you
issue.
do? What did you do? Like, what did you do? So there you are in prison. What did you do? How did you handle this?
Let me read you what I wrote on my first day sitting there in federal prison. And even when I think about it now, it's quite beautiful. Even saying that is hard. But this is November 4th, 2019. And this is when literally everything I have is gone. My education, my wealth, none of it matters. The fact that I have a family, the fact that I'm a, nice person, none of it matters.
None of it mattered. How long were you there? Just out of curiosity.
5.5 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I had to go to a halfway house for a few months, like that,
Wow. Okay.
But I was away from my family for far too long. That was the part, very difficult. So this is what I wrote sitting there. And what happens is that when you get there, they take everything. So if you have a Brahman thread, you have your Tulsi Mala, everything is gone. Nothing, you have no, identity as a devotee or anything like that. So
were you allowed to have malas?
They got one for me. So they don't give you your own, but then, if you tell them, look, this is my religious practice, they actually ordered one for me, which was really nice. So
okay, good.
But they're obligated to fulfill everybody's religious needs. So okay. This is very painful and difficult to read, even after all of these years, because this was like such a traumatic moment in my life. But the whole journey was traumatic but beautiful at the same time. But I share it I allow myself to be, deeply vulnerable in that way to everybody out there, because we're all going through something. And my dear
Yeah.
brothers and sisters out there, all of you who are listening, all of you who are on this same journey toward divinity, I hope this helps you.
Thank you so much.
My dear Radha Sham Sundar, you are my Lord and Master. I am simply an instrument in your hands. I have resisted you mentally and physically for so long. All my energies, strengths, and power have been obliterated by your sweet will. This does feel quite painful to me, but I am your servant and cannot always understand or ever understand your shelter. I trust you, my dear Sham, my dear Madhav, my dear Giriraj. Love, trust, and faith in the heart, despite all the changes in the mind and material position. It is only in this position where I'm deeply surrendered to your will that I realize that I have nothing except you. You are my solace, my strength, my hope. The words and kindness of your devotees are my eternal joy. They give me strength, peace, and a remembrance of what I have in life. I am so fortunate to have the love of your devotees, my family, and your written words. In the middle of nowhere, in this prison, you are unlocking the prison of my heart. My material desires, deep-seated, and asking me to take your love. I am in a cubicle with 5 beds. Currently, I'm alone in here with green prison clothes, simple blankets, and pillows. I am going to do my sadhana as best I can, offer my food, which is not offerable to you, and beg your tolerance of me. I deeply miss my dear family, and I'm not sure why we are separated. But, my dear Krishna, I belong to your heart. I am here to please you. Lotus-eyed, curly-haired, most loving Krishna, please give me some of your kindness and guidance very directly in here. Do not make it subtle. I am not alone. You are with me. Let me become aware of your presence at every step. Let me fulfill your desires here in this place as you see fit, if I am able. Above all, give me the strength to grow and serve you. I do not wish to fail in whatever reason you have sent me here, for certainly you will fulfill everything on your schedule. They took my kantimala, did not allow my japa beads, and I have no Brahman thread. I stand with no marks of a devotee except my internal meditation upon you. Lord Nrsingadev, I see your beautiful face of Ugra Nrsinga in Mayapur before me as if I'm standing there. My mind asks with sadness and anger, where is your protection? That Nrsimha who protected Prahlad, who protected Mayapur, who protects the devotees, where is that shelter for me? I feel you have ignored only me. Dearest Nrsingadev, my heart knows that you are with me, so please do not be offended by the words of my mind, because my heart is yours. I may never understand your shelter, at least not for years. But I understand through my guru and senior devotees that it is there. I wish you had made this easier, but the path of devotees is set by thorns at every step. I have stepped in a pile of sharp thorns and have been wounded. I have the Bhagavad Gita and it is my shelter here. Please let its words penetrate deep into my heart. So this is my very first day in an alien world where everything is gone. And it's a place that functions in a way that I have no comprehension at that point in time. So this is, this is how we how we can respond and look at the challenges and difficulties that come into our life. It doesn't mean they're, sometimes people have this feeling that, oh, if you're a devotee, you're just going to accept everything and it's all good no matter what happens. No, the process is very painful. The process is very difficult to lose the things that we've worked for, even the things that we haven't worked for, the things that we have in our life, whether it's our material things, our family, all of that. But what we have to do, as to the degree that we can, by the protection and shelter of devotees, by the protection and shelter of our own spiritual life and the mercy of Krishna, to see Krishna's hand in everything that happens. The stories of the Bhagavatam, whether it's the stories of Bali Maharaj, or the Pandavas, or Ambarish Maharaj, and so many others, Prahlad Maharaj, are so helpful in allowing us to go in this direction.
It's just so beautifully, setting that scene of walking into prison, being like you said, just stripped of everything there, like before your maker, with nothing, just another prisoner, like number 6,472.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something that might challenge other people's understanding, but to have that great fortune, to have the experience, and I don't mean of going to prison, and I don't, whatever it is, but to have that great fortune of knowing, like that Krishna is the only one that you can turn to, that there is nothing else, that everything can be taken and burned and gone within a second, anything. And the only thing that we do have for real is Krishna, if we turn to Krishna. And being in that situation that you were in, what was it like for you how did that deepen your relationship to Krishna? Because when I hear what you've written, which is incredible and just eloquent and heartfelt, and I've felt every word. My heart is aching right now, actually. So how did that improve your relationship with Krishna at that moment, or during the moments being in there?
That's a very wonderful question. What happens is that, as I said, we don't control the karmas that come into our life, but we control how we respond to them, what we choose to do. This is a great fortune. Sometimes the fortunes are a little more painful than others. It's Krishna's mercy. Sometimes it's sweet mercy, sometimes it's bitter mercy. But what it does is that it allows you to see the material world for what it is. It's exactly what you said. Everything can be there 1 second, it'd be perfect. And then it can be gone in one moment with a brain tumor diagnosis, or a car accident, or a legal problem, or a hurricane, or whatever, so many different ways these things can happen. So what it does, it allows us to, if we're willing to not be so bound by the mind, it allows us to see that in the end, there is nothing else present other than Krishna in our life, because everything else can go. So what did it do? It allowed me, in this very alien environment in which I had zero control, and being around people that I would never be around otherwise, put it that way. So a completely different physical environment, completely different rules, completely different people. All you have left in there is Krishna. You have nothing else, you know? So I simply, at the deepest level, I said, Krishna, this is where you want me to be. And I will simply accept as well as I can what you have given me and
I want to
do
be
my
just
best
like you when I grow up. I want to be just like you when I grow up. Oh, if I had just one. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I simply said, I will do my best. So, you know, they got me some japa beads every morning. I would wake up and I would do my japa, and brought me much closer. And
Did you have to give them the beads back?
every day I had to give them back. Yes,
Yeah,
every
okay, I
day I had to
figured.
give them back, but they let me have them, so that's very kind. Um, um, so I did my japa every day, wherever I'm going, wherever I'm walking. And there's some very amazing parts to this story, and I'll tell those. But you know, I did my japa every day. You know, I would when we had a kind of a cafeteria where everybody eats together. You know, and I would, you know, fold my hands for a minute and pray every single day for every meal, even for the garbage that I was eating. You know, I was like, okay, this is Krishna, this is also your mercy in some way. You know, and people would ask me, what are you praying for? What's wrong with you? You know, like this kind of thing. We're stuck in this place, and I would try to guide them a little bit as well as I could. People began to appreciate the chanting because I started chanting also, like not just japa, but kirtan chanting in there also. So people appreciated that and actually liked to hear it. So that helped. And what happened after some time is that people started talking to me. Basically, all you do there all day long, there's a track, and you walk the track or you play some games or you do this and that. You're basically, you know, on timeout for 6 months until you can move on with the rest of your life. It's kind of like that environment. It's not like violent in any way. It's just more boring, and
Sure.
you can choose to do what you want with it, you know. And so I would always walk the track and I would do my japa. And what happened after probably the first week, one person started walking with me and said, oh, hey, I have this problem, can you help me? And they started asking me questions about their personal issues, and I tried to, you know, answer them as well as I could as a devotee. And then within, I'd say, another week and a half, there was literally a line. Like when one person finished, this next person wanted to talk to me, then a third one and a fourth one. It was wonderful in that way that I was able to help them, but everybody wanted to, you know, help with their particular issues from a spiritual perspective. And I was able to do
Wow.
that for them. So that was very good, you know. So my relationship for myself with Krishna deepened, and then I was able to help people through whatever their spiritual path is to help them get deeper in their understanding of why they're going through their problems. I spent my entire, I kept my schedule fairly rigid, and so I spent a lot of time reading and memorizing Bhagavad Gita. I read the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, you know, everything I could do while I was there to keep the focus on my relationship with Krishna. That, you know, whatever reason he sent me here, whatever this karma is that I'm meant to go through, let it just go through in the best possible way and use this to deepen that relationship. And if you can accept Krishna's presence and his guidance and role in your life in the most difficult and challenging circumstances, then you've succeeded in something very wonderful. This was like a death, basically, because my entire
Yeah.
identity, everything gone away. You know, you're basically being sent to this place, which is
Like a
hellish. You
material
know,
death. You were dying that
it's a
material
material
death.
death.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is exact, and it was very painful. It wasn't like it was an easy, smooth journey. It was very
Sure.
painful along the way. Um, so for all of us, this is that same journey. What choice we make when the time comes, when the difficulties come. If we can use that time to come closer to our journey with Krishna, and astrology certainly helps because you're like, okay, this is just meant to be at this time. I can't
Right.
control it, you know. But if we can simply take that time, take that challenge, and become deeper in our relationship, what happens? You become fearless. Okay, and I say that not in any like over emphasizing or superlative way. You
Yes, of
literally
course.
become fearless. You can
Yes.
handle anything after that because you've been through the greatest challenges that are there and you've surrendered to Krishna and you become empowered. You become stronger and more powerful. Now, that can happen at a material level too, right? We have some problems, we can, treat it with medications or psychologically or use meditation just to calm ourselves so we can give a speech. And all of those things are wonderful. We can go through an adversity and we can grow through it, but we grow through it by just becoming mentally stronger, but there's no deeper foundation in spirituality. So all those
Right.
those are very good to a certain level. But when we can make that transformation at the level of the soul, a transformation at the level of our relationship with the universe, our relationship with every living entity that is in the universe, every human being, every plant, every animal, understanding that we are all connected through Krishna's energy. When we make the transformation at that deeper level, life becomes sublime. Life
Yeah.
becomes something that can live in a very, very different way. So Krishna puts us through so many anxieties and difficulties and takes things away. But what does he give us? He gives us fearlessness. He gives us
Faith.
no anxiety. He gives us the ability to give that help to others when they're needed.
Mm.
You know, so all of these transformations can come. So that's what happens when we go through these and we're able to keep our focus as well as possible. There's still ups and downs, but keep our focus as well as possible on the much bigger picture of our relationship with
Mm.
Krishna. And so I think is the way that it's helped me a lot. But it only came because of the mercy and guidance of so many devotees. It's not
But
something
you
you
would
can do alone.
But you would say, or would you say, question, let me phrase that differently. Would you say that this whole experience has made you, has changed you in a way that's absolutely beneficial to your relationship with Krishna and your daily sadhana and everything else? Has it changed you to be a more a devotee that you're happy with today, or you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I, I, I would say it has changed me to be a devotee that I would never have been otherwise. Put it that
Right.
way. Yes,
Wow.
absolutely. Uh, would I want anybody to go through this ever in their life? No. But I am very grateful to have been on this journey. You know, I'm
Wow.
very grateful to have been on this journey, but it's a journey that is certainly uh, transformative. But because of attachments, it can be quite painful. But on the other side of it, which I'm still coming to the other side of it,
Mm-hmm.
it's a journey that I am grateful to have gone through. Absolutely. Um,
So what timeline
and
are we looking here? Like when did this happen?
this
And
was 2019.
oh
Uh,
wow. So it
it
wasn't that
wasn't
long
that long
ago.
ago when I went and I got out at uh, April 21st, 2020. So I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary of that. And, you know, then I was on probation for 3 years. And as soon as I exited my Getu period, okay, which happened about August, September, so about 4 or 5 months ago
Mm-hmm.
of 2023, everything started changing. things just start improving and getting better and falling back into place. So, on a material level, so karmically, we have these things that we have to deal with. We try to get through them in the best way. And then if the best way is by allowing these difficulties to cause transformation in our life, and it's not that you just wait until difficulties come and then say, okay, let me change. It requires, as much as possible, constant and regular spiritual practice, constant and regular association with devotees, constant and regular reading. Because what that does, that's like our training. It's like if you're training for a marathon, you're not going to wake up one day and say, oh, let me just go run a marathon. But if we've been doing this on a regular basis, then when these difficulties come, they may shake us a little bit, but they don't break us. We can get through these things. So regular spiritual practice, as much as possible, is so helpful in allowing us to get through these things.
So that really like helped you through. Obviously, I mean, when you were there, you had wrote. I remember that you said that you're here in this prison, but you have unlocked, the
prison house of my heart.
Exactly, exactly. And it's like, it's the irony of, I've heard that in some people who go to prison, that they said they've never felt more free in their entire lives than they had in prison, when they found God, and I think, how wonderful is it that you have had your lifelong full of devotion, in like you said, in another way, because you were another devotee after this all happened, but that you could take all of that experience and you had all of that knowledge in your back pocket, and then all of a sudden you're feeling it and you get to experience like that kind of, that kind of surrender, and that kind of like, wow, here I am, here I really am, like that deep, deep, deep surrender, like, Krishna, it's all gone. It's done. I'm stripped of everything that I called who I am, every kind of anything. And here I am now in a prison, and I get to really love you. I mean, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but how much better does it get than that? As far as the feeling goes, I don't mean the situation. Of course, it's a very painful thing, and I've had my own experiences in things similar.
Sure.
So, I hope I'm not presuming that that's how it is for you, but that's how it sounds to me.
No,
maybe I'm projecting my own things.
It is. No, you're absolutely right. The opportunity to surrender or give up all our material attachments while we're still alive in this material world, to go through that type of material death, can be incredibly transforming. And for everybody out there, who's suffering or struggling or going through, different things, whether it's addiction related and all of a sudden your loved ones aren't close by, or you're financially suffering, or there's legal issues, or your mind is just like in turmoil. Think about, take one step towards Krishna, even at your lowest point. Take one step towards Krishna, because no matter what, even if you're at the bottom, Krishna is always there with you. And the second that you really turn towards him, he will be there to guide you and protect you and transform your life. So every single one of you out there who's going through some of that, and who's not at one time or another in this material world, remember that Krishna's love and protection is always there for us, and that our spiritual practice and listening to the Bhakti Recovery podcast, or the wisdom of the sages, or doing our chanting and going to kirtans and all of these things, these are all helping us prepare for the journey ahead.
And I can also say, I know I'm not really gonna, I'm plugging you right now, because I just know that I've been going through some stuff, and just having quick conversations with you or just text messages has helped me tremendously. And it's always nice for me to reach out to people who have had a similar experience in Yeah, I mean, it is material to think that I relate more to this person or that person. Um, but I am in this material world somehow. And sometimes I need to have people who have had a similar experience, perhaps not exactly the same, but a similar experience to go to give me experience, strength, and hope. And thank you always for, guiding me in the right direction and telling me certain things, and thank you. And I think you're incredibly smart and intuitive and very you're just the kind of devotee that we say in the program, if you like what someone has, then have association with that. If you want what they have, then you're willing to do certain things to get it, which means I like your experience, strength, and hope. I like your sadhana. I like how you view Krishna consciousness. I like how all of that is. So I would like to have association with you. We say stick with the winners. And as far as I'm concerned, you're a winner. So thank you.
That is very kind of you. I am so grateful for your association at every moment. Since the moment we first met, it's been incredibly powerful. And I see your strength on this journey. And, we're all traveling together. And that's what we have to remember. As long as we keep working together, as long as we keep helping each other on our journey towards Krishna, because we all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses, and the guidance of senior devotees, the guidance of our gurus, and us helping each other is the most transformative thing. And the work you're doing
Yes.
here, this Bhakti Recovery podcast, is going to transform the world. I'm just
Oh.
waiting for that to happen, waiting for that to grow.
I don't I don't know. If Krishna
It
wants it,
will.
it's like you said, if Krishna wants it, that's what it should be. If Krishna wants that, then I'm happy to follow,
But I'm very
talking to you.
grateful and appreciative of your strength and the wisdom you share on your show. And certainly the things that you've told me have also given me a lot of strength and wisdom and faith in things. So we all continue
Thank
to
you.
work together.
Oh, thank you. So so now you're out of prison, you've gone through all of this stuff. You've been, you're back with your family, you've gone through the, probation. I know your probation ended recently. I know you had some time in India for the first time because of
Yeah.
probation set up, and that was lovely. So where are you right now, and where are you at right now? It doesn't have to be outside circumstances, inside circumstances. You don't have to say like I'm here or
Sure.
there. Just let me know like where you're at, like
Yeah.
spiritually, and where you're at, if you
Of
include
course. Of course.
materially, fine.
The first thing is, yes, to get to go to India, because what they do is they take away your passport, right? You can't travel. If you want to leave
Yes.
like your local area, you have to get permission. It's like very intense. And this is one thing I want to add. This is very important that, we have people who are instruments of our karma. Um, you know,
Oh.
who, whether it's, this person who worked for you who did something wrong, or this person who, your lawyer or the judge or anything like that. The most important thing to do is, for me, is that I held no negative feelings toward any of them. I
Right.
simply saw them as instruments of the karma that I am meant to go through. And, like I said, I fought at every level, but it just was not meant to be. And at the deepest level of my heart, I accepted all of that and simply saw them as instruments and nothing else. I held no negative feelings toward any of them, even the ones who were the deepest instruments of this. I was like, this is fine. This is what's meant to be. I
Mm.
had no negative feelings toward any of these people. In fact, in many ways, I am grateful to them for being instruments of this next step in my spiritual
Mm.
growth. Uh, if anything, there's not any negative feelings in that one. That's also very important. Whatever we go through, though it is painful, though it is difficult, at some point we accept it and we move forward as well as we can. So where are we now spiritually? We, I spend most of my time doing the astrology and the life coaching, and I have a book coming out in a few months on astrology. And, I talk to people about both my journey and, how our life becomes transformed through these things. And, fortunate enough to be able to go to the temple on a daily basis, fortunate enough to have the association of devotees with me 24/7, fortunate to have a very strong and powerful wife who was one of my strengths and foundations through all of
Yeah.
this.
And she is
And
so beautiful too. She's just a beautiful person inside and out. She's so beautiful. Really,
she
your
is.
wife is so beautiful. Yeah.
And then, so we're continuing on the same path of continuing to serve Krishna as best we can. I remember hearing a lecture by my Guru Maharaj, Radhanath Swami, where he said, no matter what situation we're in, all we should say is, my dear Lord Krishna, how can I serve you now? So when we were doing well, we did our best to say, my dear Lord Krishna, how can I serve you now? When I went to prison, I said the same thing. And now that we're on the other side of that, we simply say the same thing, no matter what your circumstances are. If that stays the center and foundation of your life, you will get through things. I always look at the example of the Pandavas, who were, the most powerful personalities, the children of, you know, Indra and Ashwini Kumars and all this, powerful people that, son of Bhima was the son of Vayu, Arjuna is the son of Indra, uh, Yudhishthira is the son of Dharmaraj. So these are very powerful personalities, and they're the best friends and cousins of Krishna. So they were the kings of the entire world. Then they lost everything and had to go into exile. And then they came back to be rulers. But through all of it, their entire focus was their relationship with Krishna. Krishna knew what was going on with them. It's not like he didn't know. He came to visit them when they were in exile, but he knew what was going on. But their entire consciousness and focus was on, how can we best serve in this particular situation, whether at the top, whether at the bottom, whether in the middle. Those things will continue to come and go. So
Are you ever fearful? Do you ever get afraid? Do you ever get scared of life and its circumstances?
not anymore. Well, I won't say never. That, of
Right.
course,
Okay.
to a
But
degree is there. I won't
yes,
say never.
sure.
But certainly
Not like
not
it
like
used
it
to be.
was maybe 20 years ago. No. Because, and this is where the transformation takes place. If the transformation takes place to where your realizations of Krishna's presence in your life become stronger, I see Krishna in everything that happens in my life now. I see his presence everywhere. So the good and the bad, So when those things happen, you can't be fearful. You're simply like, okay, this is what's meant to be right now. And Krishna has something that he wants me to learn and grow through this situation. And you
So
simply do that. So it's not that it's never there. I won't say never. There certainly are times.
when it is there,
But
let me reformulate that. So when it is
sure.
there, do you notice that behind that is when you're not connected with Krishna? When it's something that you're holding on to, or something that you think, or no, even if you're aware that it's like, okay, it might be a karmic thing, blah blah blah, but I don't really want to deal with that, and I don't want to go through that. Do you notice that's behind the fear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
the fear, because when we're a devotee, most of the time the mind comes in,
Right.
and sometimes those attachments that you think are gone poke out a little bit and be like, hey, I'm still here to
I'm
some
still
degree.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still
Yes.
here. So yes, when I feel less connected, right, my sadhana's a little weaker, or, we go somewhere and you can't do something in the same regulated way that you're used to. We're in
It
India,
throws you
it was
off. Yeah.
harder to be as regular. So it throws you off. And yes, you do feel that. But then once you recognize it, it's easier to, bring the mind back into the control of the intelligence and be like, okay, let's just focus and get through this like we do with everything else. But it's certainly much less, than it would have been when before you go through these transformative journeys.
It's like the fear is lack of faith. Fear is lack of faith.
Yeah.
And
this is the mind, the root cause of our suffering. It actually comes from the mind, because why? Our mind gives us certain, attachments and expectations of what our life is meant to be like. And then our karma has a different journey for us, which we don't know about. And if we can accept the things that happen and move forward with them, rather than letting the mind focus too much on our attachments and expectations, we move through this whole life journey much more easily. We all make mistakes. Things happen in life, If you don't make mistakes, things happen in life. They just do. And this is karma. And rather than focus on the instruments of your karma or the things you've lost, or the mind focusing on our attachments, and with that, there's anger and bitterness and frustration and so many other things. Focus on the deeper journey, this beautiful journey of transformation and love that comes from this love you have for Krishna, or developing this love for Krishna. And as you focus more on that journey, everything else falls to the side. And even the ones that don't, they become much more pacified.
Can I move into your house?
Energies become passive. Absolutely. I would be honored.
Can you adopt me, please?
My wife would be so happy with that. She loves you.
Oh my God, yes, I love her too. I had to actually, I still want to have that ring made, but yeah, we'll talk about that another time. Oh, sure. Thank you for all of this. I'm sorry, I just totally did a squirrel on you and went in a whole another direction. Were you finished?
No, I think so. I'm not sure now, but yes, I think so.
I'm so sorry.
No worries. I'm very grateful to be on your show. All the work you're doing, I love. And to be able to, if this little story can help somebody else, I am very happy that it does that. Like I said, I'm not someone who, before I went through all of this, are very much a person to share a lot of things, but I feel Krishna really pushing me to share this, because everybody needs a little bit of love, a little bit of strength, a little bit of understanding that whatever you're going through out there, my dear friends, that it's everywhere. We're all going through something, and just be open about it. Share it with the ones you are close to, and you will get help.
Oh, thank you. So again, let's get people so they know how to get in touch with you. If you'd like to be coached, if you'd like to have your astrology done, I go, like I said, I go to Radhikesh for a lot of things, and I've never been steered wrong. So I would encourage anyone. How do they get in touch with you one more time?
Best way, you can Google Radhikesh Das. So radhikeshdas.com is my website. Instagram, TikTok. If you just put in Radhikesh, astrology by Radhikesh, Radhikesh Das, you're going to find me. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, website. The only thing I'm not doing yet is Twitter. And
I haven't done that yet either.
Yeah,
I tried it. I was like, I did an account and I don't even know how to get back in, but I just didn't do the Twitter thing.
There you go. Yeah, so I'm not doing that. Facebook also. Any of those people can find me. Happy to help anyone.
Fantastic. Radhikesh, thank you. Thank you for coming on again. And I want to have you on again. And
absolutely, would love to.
And I'll be in India till the end of February. When I get back in March in the springtime, I would love to have you back. And we can just maybe do I don't know, something another aspect. We have so many aspects of Krishna consciousness and astrology that we can just have another show, another aspect. How about that?
Would love to do that. That would be wonderful. Looking forward to it.
So again, thank you so much, and hope you guys enjoyed. And Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
This concludes another episode. Thanks for listening. In order for me to serve this community to the best of my ability, I welcome feedback. Please write your feedback at bhaktirecoverypodcast@gmail.com. That's bhaktirecoverypodcast@gmail.com. Also, please don't forget to follow and give us a 5-star rating. Share this with family and friends. If you'd like to join our Bhakti Recovery community or just find out what we're all about, please visit our website at www.bhaktirecoverygroup.com. That's www.bhaktirecoverygroup.com. There are no dues or fees, and we meet daily. If you or someone you know is struggling with addictions and/or associated behaviors, you will find links in our show notes to various 12-step programs. Nobody seeking recovery need ever be alone again.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज.
The miseries of material existence and the most hopeless conditions of life is the best possible opportunity to turn to God.